Honored to have him back. It's Rick Amato. You probably know him from his show on KCBQ, but what you may not know is that he is a syndicated columnist and a commentator on economics and politics. We're honored to have him. Mr. Rick Amato. Welcome back.
I'd like to thank you for asking me to be here with you today. I have to apologize in advance. I left my teleprompter at home. I did bring some notes, so remember on radio they can't see you, so I have all kinds of notes. I'm used to notes. But again, the teleprompter's been left at home. As someone said, borrow Obama's. How about those polling numbers lately? This is a very sophisticated audience. I know that from being here last time, and I knew you would know what I'm referring to, but I'll touch upon them. We see the Gallup poll, it grew to 52, now it's 51, but it's back to 51-45 Romney. We see a 26-point swing in the favorability poll. In other words, Romney has made up a 26-point gap and now leads Obama in multiple favorability polls. Perhaps the most important poll of all, as far as I'm concerned, is the Real Clear Politics Electoral College
It's really
poll.
only 250.
For the first time as of, it was Thursday, I believe, Romney took the lead in the Electoral College poll. 206 Romney, 201 Obama, with a balance, I think 183, whatever it is, the balance being toss-up. That's still tight, don't get me wrong. But the point is, you know what the point is. That's quite a swing. I don't know if you saw the news late last night, but lifetime Democrat, Detroit former industry mogul, Lee Iacocca, came out and endorsed Romney. This Gallup poll number, 51-45, the significance there, and again, many of you may know this because you're a sophisticated audience. The significance of the Gallup poll number is Karl Rove came out and said that in the history of the Gallup poll likely voter poll, is a poll of likely voters, not registered voters, in the history, now let me say this, it is the first time that Romney has broken 50%. Obama has never broken 50% in this poll. And in the history of the poll, no candidate that has been above 50 in mid-October has ever lost. That's pretty significant stuff. Now, I heard some comments when Steve, the previous speaker, was speaking. Some people were disgruntled about the media. You would think that with all this news about the media, about the polls that we just described, you would think that there would be some pretty sensational headlines with this turn in momentum. Have you seen the headlines? Obama continues to lead from behind. All right. On a serious, by the way, I have a newsletter, an electronic newsletter, an e-newsletter called A Motto for Liberty. It's free. My radio show producer right here, Sutton Porter, is walking around and asking you to sign up for it, just your email address. If you don't want to, don't feel pressured to. We would be obliged if you did. The larger the list, the more attractive I am to advertisers, and the more I can make a difference in what's going on. We now have a list of about 40,000 people across America. And so we're doing, our goal is 100,000 by sometime next year. It's good stuff. I humbly say I think the newsletter has good stuff in it. I'll give you some examples so I'm not just tooting my own horn here. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I had an exclusive interview with Ambassador John Bolton. All right? Only our subscribers got that information. John Bolton, by the way, if and when Romney gets elected, expect him to be in the short list for Secretary of State. Another example of information in that newsletter, I just got lucky. I'll be honest with you. I'm scouring the news sources all the time. I caught the Real Clear Politics change in Electoral College. I caught it within the first hour when the lead went from Obama to Romney, and I had an alert out to our subscribers before it was up at Drudge or Breitbart. So that's the kind of information you get in our newsletter. And if you don't like it, just unsubscribe and no one, yes. It's called A Motto for Liberty. And this woman over here is my producer. She's bringing around a sign-up sheet so we can get you signed up. And if you like it, send it to your friends and pass it around and ask them to sign up. By the way, we are also launching a new website I want to tell you about for just 2 minutes. It will be called The Grassroots Citizen. It will be grassrootscitizen.com. It's going to launch between now and before Election Day. We're real close. And its premise is that it will expose the gap between mainstream America and a political class. The political class, I think we intuitively know what that means, but I'll be more specific. The political class, I'm referring to that, of course, inside of Washington. But I'm also referring to that inside of Sacramento, Austin, Albany, because that too is a political class that does not get attacked and put under the microscope often enough. I'm also referring to the media elite, the mainstream media, as the political class. So we'll have a lot of information at grassrootscitizen.com. It's going to be hopefully like a daily newspaper. That's our goal. A lot of it will be articles from other sources, but we'll have a lot of original content. So look for that, please. And if that's the sort of thing. And this is all about the grassroots movement right here. What you're doing with the Tea Party here in Ramona. On a serious note, I talked about newsletter, website, and I told a little joke about Obama leading from behind. On a serious note, I want to point out, you may have seen the news today, there was a car bombing in Beirut, Lebanon. 8 people were killed. I only bring this up because immediately, folks, the White House has termed this a terror attack. All right? So, I mean, it is humorous. At the same time, unfortunately, it's true. I commend you for what you're doing here today. As I said, I've spoken at probably 45 or 50 Tea Party events across the country and emceed. In the Ramona one, I've been here once before. It kind of stuck out of my mind because I got to choose my words carefully because it could be taken wrong by different people. You all struck me as being a little more sophisticated in your knowledge of current events. I'm not saying the others weren't. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying that you seem to be more informed on what's happening right now and with an in-depth understanding of events. And I commend you for that. And that's important. This is why you have people like Steve Baldwin here earlier, because it's groups like this, and groups like other Tea Party events across the country, and groups across the country, you understand. You probably started out intuitively, sensing a couple of years ago, back in 2008, that something was wrong in America. You probably knew long before 2008 that there was a slow burn occurring, whether it was a Republican in office or a Democrat in office, that something just wasn't the same. It used to be if you played by the rules and you kept your nose clean, you had a fair shot to live the kind of life you wanted to. But that has sort of been changing over the years, and it wasn't until Rick Santelli went on CNBC and gave people an opportunity to rally around something, these Tea Party organizations started up. But the main thing I want to say is that, and what I'm leading up to, is that I just want to commend you. Obama's not going to get impeached between now and election day, that's clear. But the fact you're here bringing in Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson, bringing in Brigitte Gabrielle, bringing in the Steve Baldwins, and you're engaged in the process. It makes a huge difference. And you don't need me to tell you this, but I want to tell you this. You are making a difference. And please keep doing what you're doing. You're inspirational to people that you're not even aware of. I can tell you, I get email from people saying that I was at a Tea Party event for the very first time in my life. I went to a political organization rally for the first time in my life. You are influencing people in ways that you may not be aware of, people that you've never met, never spoken to, and I just think that's important for you to know. The things that, some of the things that concern me most about Barack Obama, you can talk about a lot of them, but what really concerns me, and the list can go on and on and on, but I'm troubled by this whole notion of division, of whether it's gender, race, and class. I am so sick and tired of class warfare, and I'm frightened to death of having a leader in the White House that believes in collectivism, that believes in statism, and that's what inspired me to first get involved in the Tea Party movement back in 2008, is this class warfare mentality and the growth of government. I've got a few points I just want to touch upon because we're short on time. I made some notes. I thought we'd touch upon the media. Occupy Wall Street. That's some interesting I think there are interesting comments on that. The debates. And then we'll talk a little about some notes about the Tea Party again. The media. I heard some comments. Why isn't the media doing this? Why isn't the media doing that? And I understand your sentiment. A couple thoughts here. Mainstream media today still controls the narrative. In other words, they still control. I said it the wrong way. Let me say it again. The mainstream media today still creates the narrative. Narrative meaning the driving, prevailing story in society. The mainstream media today still creates the narrative, but they no longer control the narrative. Because of websites like Breitbart, the Daily Caller, and Drudge, because of bloggers, because of the internet and groups like this that get online, and members here get online and let their viewpoints made, the mainstream media has lost its influence. Not to say it's still not influential. I'm not saying that. But the good news here is it has lost its influence. So I just can't emphasize enough. Creates the narrative, does not any longer control the narrative, but keep doing what you're doing. And I believe that with time, it will continue to crumble away. It being the influence of the mainstream media. Let's look at Candy Crowley. All right? You know where I'm coming from. There she was. It's an interesting story. This Candy Crowley story. When Mitt Romney called Obama on the carpet, and then she bailed Obama out, right? She shielded him from the embarrassment of that question. She shielded him in front of 60 million viewers, give or take. Which, again, goes to my notion that the mainstream media creates the narrative. But the next day, Drudge, Breitbart, Daily Caller, radio talk show, bloggers, they destroyed that narrative. I won't say destroyed, but they let the truth out. As an example of that, the media can't continue to control the narrative. But, on the one hand, I was deeply troubled by what Crowley did. Of course, she took it back the next day. Right? It's too late. But you know what I find interesting about this, ladies and gentlemen? I think that the media elite gives too much importance to style on these debates, and not enough importance the common sense, not enough importance to the common sense of the viewers of Americans watching the debate. All right? There's a reason why, despite Candy Crowley pulling Obama's you-know-what out of a crack, the polls increased the next day in favor of Romney. Right? Style-wise, it looked like, oh my goodness gracious, she protected him. But normal folks said, this is baloney. I can't believe it. This is malarkey. Yes.
I'd like to make a comment on that.
Yeah.
I believe the way Obama addressed that, saying, look at the transcript.
Yes.
I believe him and that girl Crowley had conversations prior to that.
You know, let me say this. Let me say this. I think you are on to something, because it felt too coordinated, staged.
If I could throw something in,
Yeah.
If you go online, you can watch that tape, and you can see Obama make eye-to-eye contact with the person that posed the question, and call him by name, and then backtrack,
Yeah.
as if he didn't know who the person was. So before he started to stand, before he was addressed, Obama clearly knew who the questionnaire was.
Interesting.
And you can go online and watch this. Rewatch the video.
All right, but since you bring it up, I brought it up and people say, I've actually brought it up as well. You're the only other person I've heard bring it up, and when I have brought it up, you say, well, you're getting your head. We'll jump around a little. Oh, by the way, we may or may not have some visitors here today. Ever since I announced on Facebook and Twitter that I had the honor and privilege of speaking here today, there were some anti-Tea Party, pro-Obama folks that said they were having a conversation and making a big deal, saying they look forward to coming up incognito and being silent observers. So if they're here, go ahead, Dan. They'll give them a Ramona welcome. What's that? There's a lot happening there. And that's if I ever need to go somewhere for silence, that's where I'll go, to the roast. Andrew Breitbart, I'll jump around a little bit. Andrew Breitbart, as you may not know, was a close personal friend of mine. And this ties into the media. There's a new movie, it was just released yesterday, called Hating Breitbart. All right, and it's open to select cities, not here in San Diego, but it is available by pre-order DVD. Andrew Breitbart was a genius at understanding the flow of information in society and how new media fits into that. What you may not know is Andrew Breitbart got his, quote, training, if you will. He was Matt Drudge's assistant. Matt Drudge had a like me. By the way, I'm a self-employed business person. And any self-employed business people out there, I'm going to throw this. I've got a bunch of wristbands that say I built my own business, Mr. President. Anybody want any? I'm going to throw this out there. It's about 10 in a pack. So just whoever catches it, just pass them around. And I think Sutton, I think you have some. Any over here? Just pass them around. Andrew Breitbart worked for Matt Drudge, and that's where he learned the business. By the way, he was a consultant, a personal consultant to a woman in L.A. that had an idea about launching a new website. She turned to him and said, I have this idea for a political website. I need someone with expertise because I don't have it. Can I pay you to be my consultant? And that woman was Arianna Huffington. The Huffington Post. Andrew told me, Rick, when Arianna told me what she was going to do, I thought it would be such a failure. And I thought it'd be great because it would expose the liberal ideology for the farce that it is. But I ran in, I had no hesitation about helping her launch it. Well, good thing wasn't a sports bettor. By the way, Andrew told me he doesn't really believe Arianna Huffington is a liberal. She used to be a conservative, if you remember. He thinks Andrew thought she still was, but found a business opportunity with her website. So I thought it was interesting. Anyway, if you get a chance, check out the movie Hating Breitbart. What it is, Andrew hated false objectivity. In other words, those in the media who pretended to be objective and instead were bullies against those on the right whose ideology they didn't share. Andrew was really one of the first ones to recognize that, or at least make it a national conversation. So this movie, Hating Breitbart, is like a reality show. So a producer came to him in 08, early 09, and said, look, you're doing some very fascinating things. A director, a movie director. You're doing some fascinating things that are consistent with the Tea Party movement. This filmmaker said, I am interested in what's happening in America today in politics and the media. Can I follow you around with a camera in your 24/7 virtually and make a movie out of it? And Andrew's lawyer, who was his childhood friend since 4 years old, almost had a heart attack. As lawyers do. And then finally, Andrew agreed. And so check it out. It's Andrew Breitbart doing what he loved to do. Destroy the media when it deserved to be destroyed. Exposing quote-unquote false objectivity. And attacking the media when he felt that they were bullying somebody. If anyone if someone was being bullied by the media or by the political elite unfairly, if they ever called Andrew for help, he would step up in an instant. He always said, I would, that was his thing, to protect those that didn't have the protection of the media and the political elite. He wasn't the most religious person, but Andrew said that if any Judeo-Christian person, organization needed my help, I'd be happy to clean up. Anyway, just a little side note. Wow, I get that question a lot. The question was, do you think he really died of a heart attack? Clearly, there were some suspicious circumstances around it. His wife says that it was his health problem, and she wishes that we not make a public discussion out of it. His top people that run Breitbart, his closest friends that are top management now, they say the same thing. So yeah. But to follow up on that, just a little interesting little twist here. The day Andrew died, he was working out. He had a personal trainer, and he would ride a Vespa from his house to the gym. And he told the personal trainer, and I was there, so I'm getting this. I'm not getting this from the personal trainer. I'm getting it from someone who is a mutual friend of mine, the personal trainer, and it's a very reliable person. Andrew told that trainer that day, there's some people following me around. I'm getting spooked. I think there's people following me. And then after the workout, he had to take a taxi home because his tires were flat on his Vespa suit. Now, I brought this to the attention of some of my friends at the Washington Times, and I have a good relationship, a working relationship with the Washington Times. And they said, to be honest with you, Rick, you're doing the kind of investigative work that Andrew is doing about someone like the President of the U.S., you can expect to have opposition groups snooping around in your trash can and trying to intimidate you. So they didn't go so far as to make that connection as well. The person, yeah, so I don't know if you know, Andrew died of a heart attack, age 42, 43. Died instantly coming home, walking home, having some wine at a little wine bar. He lives right by UCLA, the Westwood. And he was walking back, when the walking distance was home. And it turns out that the person that performed the autopsy also died about 2 weeks later. Yeah, kind of strange. Jumping around a little bit, Occupy Wall Street. You think these guys are around? You think they've kind of died and made fools and stuff and gone away? You're right. I'm sorry? A lot of people across America think they've lost their influence. I know I did it one time. I thought they became a sham and yours. A couple things. There's a movie out called Occupy Unmasked. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a political documentary. Another one, like 2016, like Hating Breitbart. Great movie, Occupy Unmasked. They go into the heart of Occupy, like a reality show, and just expose these people in their own words. A couple things. Occupy has actually accomplished their goal. And what they've accomplished is, as an example is, I'll give an example, then I'll go more elaborate. Do you see that Obama, during the debates, sort of has Mitt Romney on the defensive about being wealthy? There is the accomplishment of Occupy Wall Street. They've demonized hard work, smart work, and success. Their goal was to move the needle in America's mind of wealth is to be aspired to wealth is something bad and dirty. The filmmaker of Occupy Wall Street, his name is Steve Bannon, a friend of mine. He happens to be the vice president of Breitbart.com. Steve says, Rick, these Occupy people have not gone away. They are prepared to rear their ugly heads at a moment's notice. He believes that if and when Romney wins, we'll see riots across America on the scale of Oakland. Remember the Oakland Occupy Wall Street? He says we'll see riots on that scale. He also says that's the future of America. When we have a conservative in office, that's the future of America, what we see in the Occupy riots. I'll jump around real quick. Debates. No question. There's no question. That Romney and Ryan have gotten the best, succeeded in the debates. I mean, the first debate made Clint Eastwood look like a prognosticator. Huh? I mean, there should have been an empty chair there. And I was sitting there throwing the remote at the television, and I'm thinking, the media, the mainstream media, mocked, ridiculed Clint Eastwood. That was weird. He was unprepared. He's 80-something years old. An empty chair was strange. Had that occurred at a Democratic convention, it would have been called an unscripted artistic moment. All right? So they mocked Eastwood. And I swear to goodness gracious, did it not look like there was an empty chair there that night? I was hoping that we'd have the same sort of experience with Ryan Biden, because I didn't know what's going to come out with Biden. But guess what? I think that Ryan's goal that night was to go there and not lose ground. His job was not to go there and gain new ground. And what happened after the VP debate? The lead increased in the polls for Romney and Ryan. By the way, great line by Ryan about the 47%. That, as you know, Mr. Vice President, sometimes the words that you mean to say just don't come out of your mouth. Did you hear what Biden said yesterday, or either Thursday or Friday, about veterans in Iraq and Afghanistan? Iran. Right? He's at a rally. He's at a rally. He's getting all the voters fired up. How many people here know someone or has served in Iran or Iraq? He said it 2 more times. And never corrected himself and walked off stage.
That's what he means, and he means what he says.
The debate Monday, man, Obama, he's got to be feeling pressure. I don't know what they can. There's nothing they can do, in my opinion, to turn this around. Now. Oh well, that's always a possibility too.
Right.
If we vote, let me clarify what I mean. There's nothing that can happen in that debate Monday that can reverse the momentum, in my opinion. Worst case scenario, in my opinion, for Romney. Best case scenario for Obama. Obama just comes out of nowhere, unexpected, knocks the cover off the ball, and slows the momentum. Or stops it. It doesn't reverse. You know, I'm sure you know, what the main topic of the discussion is on Monday. Foreign security. Yeah, so by the way, I heard Steve Baldwin talk about the Obama approach to the Middle East and Islamic extremists, and Steve made the comment. He says, "I just hope to God that Romney's aware of this information and Romney's being advised on it." I happen to have the good fortune of being personal friends and business associates with Mitt Romney's Middle East foreign policy advisor. Do you know Waleed Ferris? Not some of you do. Okay, he's on Fox News all the time. Waleed, I've interviewed Waleed about 10 times, and this one it blew me away. I thought I live in a surreal life right now. About a month ago, Sutton Porter, my producer, calls me and says, "Rick, Waleed Ferris just called." And he lives in D.C. I've interviewed him about 10 times over the last 3 years. And I said, "Well, what's Waleed want?" Waleed's going to be in San Diego, and he wants to meet you, and he wants to come in and do an in-studio interview face-to-face. So I was pretty humbled. And so Waleed showed up about a month ago, showed up in the studio, and he brought a guest with him. I was unprepared. For Google Radio, I was unprepared. He brought Ann Romney's brother with him. Ann Romney's brother lives in San Diego. He's an optometrist who opposes Obamacare. Great guy, just a regular guy. And so I count Waleed Ferris as a friend. I've interviewed him 10 times. We've spoken by telephone over the last few years, maybe another 20 times. Finally met in person. I can assure you that the things that Steve spoke of that Obama is doing, and he's concerned that Romney's not getting that perspective, I can assure you that he is. Waleed Ferris is a Lebanese-born American. He's from Beirut. Do you know who complained? You don't know. It's a rhetorical question. It's important. Just hit it. There were 2 groups who complained to the media and put out press releases criticizing the Romney campaign for naming Waleed Ferris as their senior Middle East policy advisor. Do you know who those 2 groups were? One was the Muslim Brotherhood. The other was Al-Qaeda. Do you need to know any more? They call him an extremist.
Rick, let's take a couple quick questions.
All right. Yeah.
I listened to Michael Savage, he's my hero, and he wrote down that book, Trickle Down Tyranny.
Yeah.
And, he said that Andrew Breitbart was poisoned.
Well, that is out there. That is out there. I can only tell you what Yes. Oh, Dan.
Yes, thank you for being here today. And my question is about the media. And I don't trust any of them except the Fox News Network. How do you feel about that?
Pretty much the same as you do. MSNBC is a joke. We learned about CNN from Candy Crowley, right? And you probably heard about the email the next day at CNN. All right. The next day, it got leaked. This got leaked to the media. They tried to cover the editor. The editor at CNN put an internal email out to staff and on-air personalities, telling them to protect Candy Crowley and cover up for her. It got leaked to a tabloid newspaper. It wasn't the Inquirer, but it was something like that. Oh no, TMZ. It got leaked to TMZ, and TMZ just put it out there. It's all you need to know. But you know, I think coming back to your question, I was speaking to Andrew Breitbart's childhood friend the other day, CEO of Breitbart.com. We were talking about the debates. And one of the points he made is, he said, Rick, I don't trust the media either. He said, but I think it's backfiring against Obama because I believe the American people will watch these debates and they're saying, I don't trust the media as well. So I think he's working in our favor. Yep.
I want to know, is the Union Tribune now a conservative paper?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. We may see a transition period. I have to be honest with you, I don't read it. So, but I know who the new ownership is.
Rick, last question.
Yeah.
Do you have any comment on the Cloward and Piven theory that Glenn Beck has spoken of so frequently?
One more time. The theory is what?
Cloward and Piven, which are a couple of leftist scholars who developed the theory that the welfare state needs to be exhausted to precipitate, to collapse the ability of the government to...
Beck has spoken so much of.
Yeah.
I thought you said something different. I agree with it. Yeah. I'm sure you've heard the you've heard the quote by Barack Obama's father, who said that in theory that if you offer enough services to the people, you can tax the people at 100%. Now, I think that if you believe that, and this is Obama's father, not him, but up to you to decide how much influence his father had. I believe that before you can get to that point in a society where you tax people unmercifully, you've got to wear them down. So that's my short answer to your question. Okay, I think we're done. Thank you. Did anybody not get signed up for the newsletter? We're Sutton.